Okay, Kung Fu Chronicles back. Another 5 questions coming up. Another master. Check it out. And yes, you know the deal, Kung Fu Chronicles. This time we're headed over to Colorado.
Here's Johnny.
Well, virtually again, this time with Sifu Kisu, who teaches Northern Shaolin, just like his training brother, Sifu Troy Ogburn. If you haven't checked out that episode, go ahead and do that. And of course, I'll have the chance to ask Sifu Kisu a little bit about his history and things he's done in the martial arts. Now look, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. Hit the little bell so you get all the notifications. Check my social media for updates as well. And hey, thanks again for making our last video with Sifu Eriksson Throne such a success. Appreciate all the love, all the comments, and all the ideas. Trust me, I'm gonna try my best to implement a lot of them in future videos. Okay, we're virtually flying over to Colorado to chop it up with Sifu Kisu and get at him about his martial art history, his love of stirring up controversy, and more. Check it out. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Man, thanks for being a part of this. Been doing a couple of these already. Had your brother Troy Ogburn on a few. Well, it's been like 2 months now, but that was great to So I started off the Northern Shaolin spectrum that way, and now I got you finally because you're not in LA anymore.
Thank God, yeah. I couldn't even imagine being there with the current craziness. I miss it though. I miss a lot of people.
I know.
Miss my teacher.
I know.
I'm just doing the best with what I got. Doing the best with what I got.
All right, man. So I'm gonna get it going right away. I mean, obviously we know each other. I've known you for like 20 plus years through my Sifu Ken Edwards. You guys are great friends. How did you get your start? I know, I know your history, but just for the audience, how did you get your start in Kung Fu?
Oh my God. Let's see, Kung Fu. I got a chance to study when I was like 14 or 15 years old with some of the first people that came over from Beijing in Wushu, Boiling Ying's group, with a friend of mine, Gray Lane Thomas, introduced me to those guys up in Oakland, and practiced a lot of Kaji Kimbo with the guys at the Oakland Community Learning Center, the Luther Crease and all those guys, former Black Panther members, and ended up meeting my teacher in LA, and like 1978, 79, something like that. Was going to LA City College and met Troy and Mike Lewis and those guys up there. Yeah, started training Northern Shaolin from Taekwondo. I had a big Taekwondo background.
Okay, yeah, that's right, because you got Taekwondo and then you went into Northern Shaolin, right? That thing. Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Hence the reason.
Yeah, and I looked out with Taekwondo. My sabanim was Kong In Mu, and he was in the first class of Taekwondoist. Jun Ri was in his class. Hyo Cho was in his class. It was the legit first generation. So the transmission was brutal.
Yeah, right.
Was brutal. Schofield Barracks in Hawaii with all those Army hardheads meaning to do me harm as an Air Force man.
Wow. So.
Yeah.
As a Taekwondo guy, did it make it easier when you went over to Northern Shaolin because the kicking was already there for you, probably, right? Or was it?
No, the kicking is different. The Taekwondo guys, they turn over the hip a certain way on the side kick, and there's a lot of other innovations in Taekwondo that didn't translate well to the Northern Shaolin. The Northern Shaolin is all about the high knee, and having the high knee as a third hand sort of affair,
Right. Okay.
Getting it up and closing all that up. Yeah. Right. So it was a very interesting transition. It quite frankly, it's only just recently that I've started to really understand the essence of the Northern Shaolin.
Okay. Fair enough. But at least you had the flexibility, at least going from there, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It was very demanding. Really internalizing the basic and and living the basic and doing the kung fu footwork. If you're from another system that isn't from the Chinese martial arts, you don't understand what I'm talking about. So you do.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So from there, how did you start instructing, or how long had you been instructing? When did you decide to move over and start instructing?
Goodness gracious. So I was very enthusiastic about the style, and I took a couple of young people as my students. Harold Hazeldine, I trained for a while. Warren Sang, who's still with the organization. Steve Morton, I trained all those guys in the Venice Beach days. God, we were down in Venice by Muscle Beach every day in the 80s. Getting in fights, starting trouble, beating up basketball people, beating up weightlifters. Danny Trejo used to hang out with us.
Oh, really?
Back in the day. A lot of legit dudes. Dennis Alexio. I ended up getting in a beef with Dennis Alexio, that kickboxer.
Wow.
And we ended up, he invited me over to Ralph Allegra's place to spar, and I didn't know what I was getting into. But, you know, I would have jumped into a can of beans back in those days. So I didn't know who he was. And we went a few rounds and beat up on each other, and I got his respect, and he had mine out the gate. He's good. And then I come to find out dude was breaking people's legs, and I was just like, God, you're stupid. You know, playing tough guy with Dennis Alexio. But yeah, man, what I've learned has served me well over the years. In terms of combat, in terms of physical fitness, in terms of aging. I just turned 62.
Nice.
And yeah. So I'm doing the sets like pretty much every day. I'm practicing the sword every day. I'm teaching a couple of kids like some of the heavier weapons. It's, you know, had a couple of shoulder surgeries.
Right.
So just barely keeping it together, but keeping it together nonetheless.
Nah, looking like you're doing the damn thing, man. I like it. So instructing back then, did you always know, hey, that's where I wanted to go? Did you do like some acting and stuff back in the day, or am I wrong about that, or something like?
Yeah, I got hired to do some stunts for the Power Rangers. Was like one of the first ones. They were going through a transition, and I ended up choreographing like some of the fights and stunts in the transition from the first season to the second season. And then a bunch of politics happened over there, but I made my living as a stuntman for like a long time. Power Rangers, Mask Rider, VR Troopers.
Oh wow, okay.
Big Bad Beetleborgs. I was the villain on 62 episodes of Big Bad Beetleborg.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I fed my family doing stunts. My good friend Eric Lee would pull me in. Art Camacho would pull me in to do different like little B-movie fights. Mm-hmm. So I got beat up by Shannon Lee. I got beat up by Cynthia Rothrock. I got, you know, we took ass whoopings just, you know, like handing out cornflakes.
When was the last time you got your ass kicked?
What?
You heard me. When was the last time you got your ass kicked? Just curious.
Yeah, for a long time. And then I think I opened my first school, the Harmonious Fist Institute, with a very grandiose name for a storefront on Fairfax Avenue.
Nice.
That's cool.
All good. And now you're out in Colorado. What made you want to make the transition?
Yeah, I moved here. It'll be 4 years in November. I moved here to take over the Westgate Kung Fu School from my Kung Fu brother Adam Reed. He's from the Lost Track Mahjong Longhorn guys from Sifu Johnny Lee. And I made friends. I was coming up here to do a lot of workshops. The Colorado and most of the Midwest is notorious for a lack of reputable Kung Fu styles. So I've always taught from the heart. I got a chance to, in LA, thousands of people came to my class.
Yeah.
Ended up meeting Tom Cruise. My student Shinko Yamato was the archer in The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I ended up, set for a little bit of that. I know, cool heavy guys like you.
And you know this, man.
Right.
Man, I've made some great friends in Hollywood. Hollywood is not dead for me yet. I got a couple of projects percolating.
Yeah, you didn't mention your most famous, man. You were like, come on, weren't you stunt double for Timok in The Last Dragon? What's up?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's funny you would mention that though, because I auditioned for that, and I was they flew me. Yeah, TriStar flew me back and forth to New York twice. I auditioned for Barry Gordy. It was down to me and Timac.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, for that show, and which is funny because like years later I ran into Vanity and we had a little thing.
Sure look like a master to me.
Well, dude, come on. I know you used to get it like coming up. Like, come on. Are you Timac? No, you're like, no, that's not me.
No, Timac is a handsome young man. He's a little younger than me. He's a little shorter than me. He's a really good looking fellow. I'm glad I didn't get that role. That would have like colored everything that I did after that. But for entertainment, what else did we do? We did 6 seasons of Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness. Some of our Kung Fu ended up in the Clone Wars. A lot of the directors we worked with on Avatar: The Last Airbender ended up on Clone Wars. Yeah, we did Avatar: The Last Airbender. I should probably mention that.
Yeah, I was going to come to that, but it's fine. You can mention it.
Yeah. Got a chance to work over at Nickelodeon on a whole bunch of stuff, and ended over at Disney XD. Worked on some stuff that never got credit for.
So like Clone Wars and stuff like that. The animated show you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I was proud to see some of the stuff that we worked on get in there, even though I didn't get a paycheck for that. But that's cool. It's not all about the money.
Where's the money, man? Where's my money? You got till 5 o'clock.
But no, I hear you. But you did. I was gonna bring up Last Airbender. Obviously, it's like one of the most famous things. If you're a kid or like even in that teen realm watching this right now, you're like, oh, okay. Like you, pretty much the behind-the-scenes guy doing most of that work for the Last Airbender animated series, right?
That's true. Yeah, we it's okay. We did some cool stuff, man. Yeah, we got a chance to do some cool stuff over there, man. It was nice to be taken seriously, and it was nice to have, my ideas and some of my dreams come to life working on that project. But that was just a waypoint along the way. We did it with my teacher's blessing, and he was a little freaked out by it because he always thought that Hollywood usually just trashes a concept or a property or whatever, and we took him to, I think we had like the first 4 episodes play in the courtyard at Nickelodeon on like some huge cinematic screen, and my teacher was there, and he was kind of misty. He dug it.
And for those that don't know, and most people do know, you're Sifu's master Ken Huey. I've met him several times. Really great guy, and you've obviously trained with him many years.
Yeah, over 40. Wow, ours is a special line, not to knock anyone else's.
No, I get it.
Ken Huey is a force of nature. He again, I can't say enough about that man. That's my father.
Well, as you know, you've seen a couple of videos before. The segment that I do is called 5 Crucial Questions for Kung Fu Masters. About to ask you those questions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The weapon is an extension of the body. So, like when you hear people talk about the Shaolin 18 weapon, this is just my take. I don't know anything, but I've been doing it for a hot minute. So when you hear the 18 weapons, some are short, some are long, some are flexible, some are solid. You learn how to move your energy from your feet through your body to your hands, so from one leg to the next leg, right? But then you learn how to move your energy past your body into the weapon, right? And then the higher end of that is that you learn how to transfer your energy through your weapon to your opponent's body to kill your opponent. And there's a lot of mysticism surrounding that, but there's some truth to it. So the weapons teach you that anything becomes a weapon. A freaking TV remote becomes a weapon, right? Your cell phone becomes a weapon, right? Your video game controller becomes a weapon, right? I mean, anything that's at hand, if it's a whip, so to answer your question, the most important weapons, in my opinion, are the staff and the saber.
Gotcha.
There's nothing else. Those are the root weapons. Every long weapon, your kwando, your spear, everything. If you don't got a good staff, your long weapons are trash. If you don't have a good broadsword, your short weapons are trash. So you people that are running around acting like you're a grandmaster this and that, something else. If you can't show a good broadsword, if you can't show a good staff, you need to go back to the drawing board, son. There's a lot of bullshit ass kung fu practitioners running around fronting like they know kung fu. The Kung Fu's got a really, really bad reputation from all these people that said they're Kung Fu masters, that never had a fight, and I won't name any names. There's a couple of guys in like Man Up, Stand Up in New York that were prominent traditional Kung Fu teachers that didn't know how to mix it up. So, number one, you should be humble. I don't care what you're practicing. You should be humble. I talk a lot. I've said a lot of stuff online. I've pissed a lot of people off. I'm very controversial in terms of my opinion about Kung Fu. If you're going to practice Kung Fu, me. You should be snapping. If you're not snapping, shut the fuck up and sit down. Don't put yourself on Front Street. I say, goddamn. When it comes to any style versus any style, there's no such thing. There's a practitioner against a practitioner. It's MMA is a readily available quick bag of tricks that you can pick up and run, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's as far as the controversy goes, these Tai Chi masters getting their asses whooped. It's like, come on, bro, stop it. Don't get out there. It's like I'm 62. I'm still in good shape. I'm not trying to fight nobody. If you fight me, I'll fight you. And right. You might get kicked in the mouth. You might not. But, I'm always willing to prove that it works. I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not trying to start any shit. But I believe in standards in the martial arts. So that whole thing about these mouthy Kung Fu people who can't fight. To this day, if somebody's got a challenge with me, anybody wants a challenge, ask me politely. You want to box? I'll box. It's cool, and that's the way you should be.
Well, yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
and that's cool. But there's a difference between sparring and a fight. A fight is a fight.
You're goddamn right.
I don't really concern myself with people's opinions. We got a chance to go over to China, and I've got some friends in Shenzhen and Guangzhou, and we got a chance to meet Hui Cheng's, I think his daughter and his grandson, and they were like, their Kung Fu was like real and legit and old school. And we met some of the Northern Shaolin guys in Hong Kong. So Northern Shaolin Boxulam is recognized by the Shaolin Temple, but it's not practiced at the temple. Right. So I know that some schools have gone there, and we visited a couple of times. We didn't demo or anything. We watched the shows, and we were really intrigued by some of the Shaolin boxing. The Shaolin stuff is beautiful. It's, again, you got your 2-week masters who went to Shaolin for the summer for 2 weeks and came back, and now they're Shaolin masters. I see you guys.
I know Kung Fu.
Well, I'll be honest. I went out there for the first time last year, and I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the pictures.
But I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I was like looking for the fighting. I'm like, oh, this is more just wushu. I'm like, okay, cool, but this is like
there's a bunch of that. Okay. I hear there's some guys there that was scrapped. I didn't meet them. When we visited, they were like, does anybody want to test? And I was ready to get up. My teacher's like, no, don't do it. It's disrespectful. And I was like, okay, I get it. I'll behave myself. I'm scrappy. I'm rowdy. I've always been.
Well, tell us something we don't know, motherfucker.
Not trying to bully anybody or anything, but I'm just like, if you got some Kung Fu, I'd like to feel it. I'd like to test your hand. I like to cross hands if you're not trying to kill me. If you pull a knife, I might pull one too.
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
The people that practice forms to the exclusion of fighting and think that the form is a fight, they're completely wrong. So I think the Northern Shaolin has 10 essence forms, right? It's each one is addresses a certain martial art, and there's 10 inherited forms, and there's Tantui and there's Limpo, and those address certain martial art problems. But it's like Limpo, for instance, is the linking steps. It teaches you to link your step to your knee, to your hips, through your waist, to your shoulder, to your hand. Right? So you can't have fighting with them. You can fight, but I think it's as my teacher, quote my teacher, it's a long, hard, and difficult road to like reinvent the wheel. Right? There's always like in Kung Fu, there's rules of engagement. right? If I can touch your hand, I can kick your body. If you kick me and I can touch your leg, I can punch your face, right? There's a series of ciphers, rules of engagement that are there. So, but there's got to be a balance. If you're just doing forms and you think you're fighting, you're not. You've got to get out there. You've got to interact with other people. You just get with some MMA guys. Go to a boxing gym. You want to know if your kung fu's good.
Yeah.
And don't go in there with attitude. Go, respect everybody in the martial art world. It's like when UFC first started. My brother Dan Hamby went down and he submitted a tape because he had to submit a tape so they could see you.
Yeah.
And they would not let Dan Hamby up in the UFC.
Wow.
Right, so
I didn't know that.
The UFC is not a meter of your skill. It's a very small section of the population will end up with the UFC. If I was a Chinese man, I'd be rich. Right? I've had to prove myself or show some sort of legitimacy or some connection to some sort of lineage or something else every single step of the way. And even to this day, being famous for whatever the projects I've worked on, people aren't flocking to my doors. In LA, I taught thousands of people, but there's a big divergence. People, if you're Asian, they tend to just accept you. It's knowing kung fu. You don't have to prove yourself, and I'm not shitting on Asian people. God bless you. In terms of parting words of wisdom and upcoming instructors, humble yourself. Don't be so quick to go and make a video of yourself teaching some shit that you're going to look up in 10 years and be like, wow, I didn't know what I was doing. Oops. It's be a student. Be a student for a long time. Be loyal to a teacher for a long time. It's like, people say Sifu Kisu this, Sifu Kisu that. I don't say anything without saying Kenneth Hui, right? There's no me. There's no Northern Shaolin without Kenneth Hui.
Understood.
And I will honor him to the day that I die. And I respect all my brothers out there in the Kung Fu community representing in the proper fashion. But go practice every day. Stop fronting. Stop. That's all I got to say.
Whoa! Was it just me, or did the block just get hot? All right, another 5 questions. Answered them. You heard them. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. Stick around to the very end of this video. We're not done yet. Couple self-defense techniques coming up. Gotta remind you, if you have your own set of questions, comment. Let us know below. I will definitely add onto the list for up and coming masters in future episodes. And really quick, if you want to train with Sifu Kisu,
I'm in Lafayette, Colorado. I'm just north of Denver. I teach a class 3 days a week. I'm teaching a very small group. Facebook, I think there's an Instagram, Lokhopkun, LOKHOPKQEN.
can you show us maybe 1 or 2 self-defense techniques that you and your students do that are just basic to Northern Shaolin?
For sure.
And it's here, and then it steps. Right, so when I can touch his hand here, then that's that kick. You see it? But after the kick, I do this. All right, you see what I'm doing? I'll show you a free trick. The free trick is so resistant. So look, it's not really going to go anywhere, right? But look, if I get my foot here.
Alright guys, tap in, check out some other videos that you might like. Thanks again to Sifu Kisu for being a part of the video.
This is Sifu Kisu. Thanks for watching Kung Fu Chronicles.
Stay safe, see you guys next time, and as always, keep punching.
I've got different swords I practice with on different days. And I work on the spear.
I don't think you have enough games.
I'm teaching work. Yeah. There's got a couple of beautiful ones.